So I have a question for you. How often do you actually feel that you have success in your painting? And how often, on the flip side, do you feel that you failed in your painting? So in today's video, we're going to explore the topic of failure and success. And I'm actually also going to be sharing with you 5 reasons, or rather 5 kind of mindset beliefs that I have in my art practice so that I actually get a successful painting about 80% of the time. Yes, I'm letting you know on a little secret. Maybe it's not a secret, but I often feel like most of my paintings are a success. You might have heard me in my previous videos. I'm always painting and I'm like, I love this, I'm so happy with this. And how come I am experiencing that a lot? I hear from a lot of you, you get frustrated a lot and you feel like you're no good and you feel like you're gonna fail. And in this video, I kind of share with you 5 super basic tips on how I achieve that successful painting most of the time. I'm also gonna paint this for you. I really feel like this is a beautiful, successful painting, if I must say so myself. So if you wanna see how I go about doing this and talk, please watch the video. All right, we are gonna start. So this is the beautiful poppies fall image that we're gonna use as reference. I'll tell you a little bit more about how you can download that if you wanna use that as we paint. I'm using my 100% cotton Meeden watercolor paper and my big size 16 Princeton Heritage round brush today. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of tea if you're just watching me paint, or if you're going to paint along with me. I am so excited. I want to say, you know, as always, I do paint quite fast. I'm a pacey painter, so feel free to pause at any point, rewind, slow down the video if you feel you need a little bit more time. So I'm putting my reference photo up on my little stand. And if you want to download the picture, it is a Patreon perk. I do offer it as for all my Patreons. You can go up there, watch the video, and you're able to download reference image and paint along with me. Otherwise, go ahead and just paint along. I am just using the yellow, orange, pinky mix that is left on my palette. If you are mixing up your own fresh paint, you can go ahead and mix something up, which is orangey, yellowy, and pinky, because that first beautiful poppy, the big central hero flower, is of this really nice peachy color. And as you can see, I'm very, very loosely painting this first poppy using all the parts of my brush, mixing in different tones of pink, of yellow, and using a very light watery mix. So this is going to be a very light value flower, and so I want to keep it very light. As you know, in watercolor, we work from light to dark. You can't really go backwards. So always be, if you're not sure, just go lighter on the value, especially in your first layer. So yeah, I'm just going in there, just dropping in different pigments to create some wet on wet bleeds. And whenever I approach a painting, I don't really have a plan. I just look at my reference photo and I just use my intuition and all the skills that I've learned in the past to just, guide me and step by step. And that's how I like to paint, and that's how I encourage all my viewers and students to paint as well. Yeah, just want to show you my process. I'm dropping in some burnt umber there because I love to add a bit of earth tones into my flowers. And, it's getting a bigger and bigger blob, this flower, but I don't really mind. In this week's video, I do want to talk a little bit about the topic of the month for me and my Patreon. So I do run a Patreon, and every month we have a theme, and this month's theme is failure. So on the flip side of failure, obviously the opposite is success. In today's world, we do tend to see things in like opposites. So we have failure, we have success, and those words are often thrown around when it comes to art, when it comes to painting. And it's important to just look into our beliefs and our ideas and what we think about when it comes to a successful painting or a failed painting. So when I approach this painting, of course, I want it to be a successful painting, right? But what is success and what is failure to you? Have you ever thought about these things? When is it the point when you go, oh my God, this is a fail, I'm not going to continue, I don't want to move on, or when is it that you feel like, oh, this is going somewhere and it's really, really looking good and I'm so excited. And all these, thoughts and judgments that we make in our painting along the way can change from minute to minute, moment to moment. But it's so important to be aware of when these thoughts come in and whether it is actually holding you back. For some people, a successful painting means that it's got to be perfect and every stroke has to be what you want it to be. Or maybe you have a plan in your head, an outcome that you want to achieve, and somehow or another, the end result doesn't meet the expectation. So what is it that, to you constitutes a failed or successful painting? I know I can definitely share with you this fact that a lot of people, when they hear about it, how I feel about this, they actually get a bit puzzled. And I really don't want to sound, arrogant, but I would say 85% of the paintings that I make, I feel are a success and is not failure. So I do have, some paintings here and there which I feel are ultimate fails, but I would say 80 to 85% of the time, I feel like my painting has become a success. And maybe can share with you a couple of reasons why that is so for me. And I don't think it's because I'm a better painter or I'm more skilled. I think maybe it's because, number one, I treat my art practice as a practice, not as something that I want to achieve, a certain amount of paintings from. The process for me is the thing that I look forward to, the enjoyable process of feeling the paint, touching the paper, experiencing the colors that emerge. Like for right now, at this point, looking at my painting, and I'm doing a recording now, I just am super in love with that orange that is popping out, and then contrasting with the slightly muted purpley fall hues of those purpley brown leaves sticking out, and connecting all of that with the stems and watching the bleed. So I really so enjoy the process. It's like therapy for me. It's like, when you go for a massage, all right? Do you think about the outcome? Like, I'm going to be so relaxed for the rest of the day? Or do you think like, oh my God, for that 90 minutes, it's going to be so freaking amazing? I guess it's a bit of both, right? You do want a bit of both. But if you concentrate all of the motivation and intention on just the outcome, then you are not, you're missing out on the enjoyment of the process. So that's number one. Like for me, I just superly enjoy my paintings sessions, and therefore the outcome, because it's not as important to me, I don't put so much pressure on getting it perfect. Somehow I almost every time exceed my expectation at the end of the painting. That said, often I really love the painting right after it's done, when it's very bright and it's vibrant and it's watery and it's glistening, and I take a photo of it, I post it on Instagram. I get really excited because I love that. But when it sits on my table, my drawer for a few weeks or months, and I pull it out again, I'm actually not as attached to it anymore. And I feel like, it's done its job. That's definitely the first reason how I feel like, most of my paintings are a success in my eyes. The second reason I want to share with you is, and this is so true, is I actually use good supplies. And when I mean good supplies, I usually mean like professional level paints. All right, so all my paints are artist or professional grade, meaning they're not student grade, and they are full of pigment, and they are just really, really nice to paint on. And the paper that I use most often is my 100% cotton paper. And when you have really good supplies, the success of a painting is significantly higher. I kid you not. I know a lot of us artists say that and we drum it in. And yes, it is expensive to spend our money on art supplies that you quote unquote waste and it just goes away. But it is so worth it, because don't you think that your time is precious? Time is the biggest, most important commodity that we all have in our lives. And if you want to spend precious art making time on supplies that are just not as good, you're just not valuing your own time. And I know it's really painful and it's really hard at the start to be wasting paper, especially, right? So my advice to all beginners is to actually upgrade your paints first. When I first upgraded my paints from student level Cotman, which is Cotman is the Winsor & Newton student grade. When I upgraded them to professional level paints, and I didn't upgrade to Winsor & Newton because Winsor & Newton professional level is really quite expensive where I am from. But there are all these other brands that are actually really not expensive that you can upgrade to. Lots of Korean and Japanese brands that you can try out, and they're just not as expensive. And you know what? A little bit of watercolor paint goes a long way. Up to this day, and I've been painting for 4 years now, I think I still have the same tube of Prussian blue. Maybe because I don't use Prussian blue as much, but I still use it frequently. So a little paint goes a long way with watercolor. That is the first thing I recommend that you upgrade to. Pick a few colors. You don't need, 30 tubes. You just need really your basic 10 or 12 or 16. And in the description below, I have a whole list of all the colors that I use most often and what brands. So you can welcome to check it out. And then when you feel like, you have some extra budget for paper, go and get professional paper. Sorry, not professional paper, but 100% cotton paper. And the brand that I use most often is Meeden watercolor paper. So at first I started using, I tried Arches and Fabriano and Stonehenge, and they're great, but they are quite expensive. I have a video where I compare all the different papers. Hang on, did I do that video? Am I talking rubbish or is that in my brain? Anyway, I do have a couple of supply videos where I talk about papers. But lately, Meeden is the ones that I use most often because it's super affordable. It's actually the same brand as Baohong, as in it's like the same company but different brands. So if you use Baohong Academy, Meeden is the same. And I have a 10% discount code for a Meeden watercolor paper. You can check it out in my description below. And ask your friends and family to gift you watercolor paper for Christmas, for your birthday, or whenever you feel like the urge to shop for something. Instead of buying that new blouse or that new mug or whatever, just go and buy paper. And what happens is you start to stock up and on paper, and then next thing you know, you have so much paper that you don't feel the pinch anymore when you use it to paint. And for me, I paint quite fast. So I finish a painting in half an hour. And, a 9x12 paper costs like what? $2 or $1? So how cheap is that for therapy? That beautiful 1 hour that you get to spend, just in flow state, relaxed, chilled, fully in the present. It is so worth it. So Sorry, that was a little bit long to explain, but it is exactly that. The reason why I feel like a lot of my times my paintings are success is really down to supplies. When I first changed up my supplies, I was really happy with my results more often than when I was using cheaper supplies or less professional ones. So that is the second reason. The third reason of why I find that I find most of my paintings successful is that I actually don't have a plan. I don't have an image or any kind of like hardcore expectation of my painting. I know that sounds crazy to some people, but for me, the opposite is actually crazy. Like, how would you know what your painting will look like? Honestly, unless you are doing a tutorial where you look at the final painting, you're doing the step by step, like maybe you are doing now, and your final outcome looks nothing like my final outcome. Okay, I get it. There is something you're comparing to. But if you're using a reference image and you are just painting along, trying your best to use whatever skills that you have learned to paint that, how are you having a plan? Or if you use a live reference, a pot of plant or some vase of flowers in front of you, how do you actually have a plan? I really don't know. So usually I don't have a plan, and that really works out for me. Because if you don't have a plan, you don't have expectations of an outcome. And whatever that outcome is, if you use good supplies, if you choose the colors you love, if you tried your best, it's more likely than not gonna be pretty awesome. Because you're practicing, you are painting, you are trying to get better every single day. How could you not be, how could you not have a beautiful painting at the end? And of course, we're painting flowers. It's really, really not hard, Dabby here, put a little color there, do a bit of contrast, and voila, you have a gorgeous painting. So I hope this is not coming across as being super arrogant and telling you that I am such an amazing painter and everything that I produce is the bomb. But it is also me saying that. I just really want you to know that I really do love a lot of my paintings and sharing with you perhaps why. And I think the fourth thing I want to share of why I feel that a lot of my paintings I feel are successful is because I really aim for loose. I aim to do my paintings quite loose. I don't know if you follow the artist Sandy Hester on YouTube. She's not a watercolor artist. She paints she's mixed media, essentially. And what I really love about her painting and her art is she's always saying, I'm trying to go for loose. I'm trying to go for loose. I'm trying to go for more and more loose, whether it's her portraits or flowers. And when she says that, she literally like tries to hold the brush higher. She tries to mix the marks on her page even more childlike sometimes, more squiggly. She's not trying so hard to, get a straight line or get that perfect petal or to curve it in this way and that. I feel like if you are aiming for loose and you're aiming for effortless, you really have to embody that effortlessness and try to go the opposite of realistic. Another wonderful practice that another artist has taught me is Louise Fletcher. She's got a podcast called Art Juice. She runs a course called Find Your Joy. And one of the exercises in one of her taster classes was try your best to make a bad painting, right? Yes, you heard me right. The task is make a bad painting. So try your best to make the worst painting ever. And you're like, what? Why would I want to do that? Because I definitely want to, paint well and not and paint a successful painting. But what is this whole brief about making a bad painting? It's actually to loosen us up and to find ways of using our brush to make marks, to just go rough, to go hard, to go soft, to go anything else but what we usually do, to experiment, to play, to push ourselves. And that is super, super important to do, in our art practice, to really try our best to not make a perfect painting. Like, just do the opposite of that. You might notice that I'm already in the details part of the painting. So I did leave my painting to dry, and I came back to layer on now using a smaller brush. And look, in this first flower, I feel like there's a moment of, oh, this is so messed up. I don't know what I'm doing. Why is that big splotch of darker shadowy paint there, and this and that? But you know what? I tell myself, it's okay. I'm not going to get it right now. I perhaps will never going to get it right. But what I can do in my most human way is to make this fun, experimental, push myself, and let's make a bad painting. Let's go for loose. Let's go for loose, and let's not try so hard. And in that space of not trying so hard, going for loose, trying to make a bad painting, at the end, if it's actually not bad, you surprise yourself and you're like, woohoo, that's actually a pretty good painting. And yeah, I have to admit, at this point, I was already sort of approaching that point. Oh my gosh, the first layer was so pretty. What did I do? I messed it up. But yeah, that's the next tip for you. All right, the next thing I want to talk about in terms of how to make successful painting is aiming for flow state. So I've spoken a bit about this in other videos, but and it's very similar to the first point, which is, I do it for the process. But I actually paint. When I come to my paints, I have this intention at the back that I want to drop into flow state. And flow state is such a beautiful state where you are one with the painting. You are not thinking about anything else. You are super present. Everything just flows from you. There is this semi-autopilot thing happening. And it's a beautiful trance state that is actually very, very important for us human beings to drop into for our overall well-being. It needs to be, talked about and explained a lot more. And I feel like, as humans evolve and in our modern world, we will get there when we discover that how important this state is for our day-to-day life. A lot of us get flow state from other places as well, like you maybe love exercising, or playing a sport. Or often people say, when they play their favorite sport, they are just in the zone. Or if you are, cooking a beautiful meal for your family and you just kind of know what to do. And painting is, for me, an amazing tool for me to drop into flow state so that I can get that beautiful effect of having that flow state be part of my day. So allocating some time in your day for flow state is so, so important, okay? Could be yoga, could be gardening, could be walking your dog, could be even having a heart-to-heart talk with your friend. When you are with your friend, a really good friend, do you want to check your phone all the time? Are you in this fragmented state where you're like thinking about 100 things? No, you are just there with that person. And for me, this is this beautiful meditative process of painting is this whole flow state is just why I do it. So when I come to my painting, I'm not thinking about I want to make a beautiful painting to sell or to show off on Instagram to my friends or to pile up in the corner of my room or whatever. I am not there to make a product. I am there just to get myself into this beautiful flow state. What? A lot of times, if you are in that flow state, the actual final outcome of the painting will have that energy in it. It will sort of be infused into your painting, that it felt effortless. And a lot of times people tell me, oh, Crystal, I really like your style because it's so loose, it feels so effortless and flowy. And that's because of all the reasons that I've shared with you today in this video, with flow state, being definitely a huge, big reason. So those are my 5 little tips that I am happy to share with you. And I didn't give you all the instruction to paint this painting. So I hope that, watching it, listening to me talk about failure and success and how to get there through your art is helping. I apologize for my dinging phone in the background. It's very annoying. But if you're interested in joining me and my Patreons to discuss more in deeper how you feel about failure and success, you're welcome to join my Patreon. Just check out my links below in the description. For the Inner Circle tier, we meet once a month on Zoom, and it's like a circle where we, share our knowledge, experience, we share our wisdom with each other so that we can grow in our art and we can grow as human beings and in life. This month, which is October 2024, if you're just watching this when it's come out, the topic is failure and success. So do check it out. We meet on the 4th Tuesday of every month. So it'll be coming up next week if you're just watching this when the video's out. Otherwise, you get all my regular YouTube videos ad-free and early with the downloadable reference image. And there's also actually one bonus tutorial every month that only my Patreons get. So I'm really happy with this painting, I must say. After all the doubts and the little struggles and weird sort of like messages my brain was giving me, I think I really did enjoy this one. And if you have painted along with me and you want to let me see your beautiful fall poppy painting, tag me on Instagram. I'm at crystaltanart. Follow me there and tag me so that I can see your beautiful version of this. Otherwise, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. It doesn't take a lot and it will just help me and the algorithm know that you like my video and share it with more people. And I really hope you enjoyed the video today. And please, I would love to hear your thoughts on what else you feel is in your art practice that helps you achieve successful paintings more often than failed paintings. We haven't even talked about failure actually, but we'll talk more about that in my Patreon when we meet, if you're welcome to join. Okie doke, so just the final touches, the middle of the flowers. I felt the whole page is looking like a big burst, very different from the original photo. Thanks for watching. And there you have it. I thank you so much for watching the video. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Check out my Patreon details if you want to go deeper into the topics, to all the juicy topics that we talk about being an artist. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Happy painting. Bye.